Hey there, and welcome back to another episode of The Awakening Trail. Today's episode is truly special. We are diving back into one of our favorite topics, nature, and for the very first time, we have two incredible guests. When farming becomes a family affair, something magical happens. Today, we are honored to sit down with a dynamic duo, Alladi Mahadevan and his daughter, Sumana Aladi. They both are redefining what sustainable farming looks like in today's world. From seed exchange programs and vibrant weekend markets to water conservation efforts and thriving urban herb gardens, their farm is more than just land. It's living, breathing classroom. Sumana brings a fresh perspective as a recent economics graduate, while Alladi shares the depth of his decades-long earth-rooted wisdom. Together, they show us the power of blending old world knowledge with new age innovation. So let's quickly dive in. So imagine a space, where tradition meets technology, where generations grow alongside gardens, and where sustainability is just not taught, it's lived. At the organic farm, a father daughter duo are cultivating a future rooted in wisdom and innovation. It's our honor to have them with us today. Welcome, Aladi and Sumana, to the Awakening Trail, and Namaste.
Namaskaram.
Thank you, Priya.
Yes, thank you for having us.
Lovely. My first question to you both. This journey must have begun long before it became the organic farm, right? Can you take us back to the very first seed? When and how did this vision start taking root in your family?
Yeah. It started with me and Ramashri, my wife. Uh, we started this journey in 2000 when we got married. And this place was there with us. So we wanted to explore what is good food. Before having a child, we wanted to know what food is. And that's how it started, if I can say it short and sweet.
So Sumana is the inspiration.
Yeah, quite
I
quickly.
definitely have very early memories of the farm. There's legitimately like baby pictures in which I am helping water the plants and things like that. So yeah, it started a long time ago and it has grown very interestingly through the years.
Lovely.
So every
So,
sapling was planted by my wife on the farm,
mhm,
thinking very well about what my child would want. The different fruit
yeah,
trees and different coconut trees and mango trees and fig trees. Every one was planted by friend. Started out of pure love on. Okay, if we have a kid, what would she need?
yeah.
That's how it started.
Sumana, what you have to say to your parents, on this occasion?
I
Very
think
thoughtful of them, right?
yeah. I think they've given me something that very few people of my age can experience, which is not only good food, that is definitely a big part, but also the knowledge and exposure to what goes behind growing good food and what goes behind those rice grains coming to your plate. Right? It's given me a, a sense of respect for food that I think a lot of people lack in my peer group, at least from what I have observed.
So true. It's an important point that you're saying, right? Many a times we don't realize like we waste so much food, like we take so much on our platter, and I think we should be mindful going forward. Like moving forward, what does a typical day on the farm look like for you both? And has it changed over the years? I know the trees must have grown big, but anything that you would like to add to other than growing up years of both Sumana and the trees?
It's about bringing a community. That's what we
Hmm.
realize. We
Okay.
want to bring a community. That's what we are slowly building. And, it's slowly growing. A community
Uh,
of people who share the same thought and they want the knowledge and they want to do the same kind of things.
I think for me, if you would ask me what a day at the farm looks like, I'm not there every single day. I'm there maybe twice a week or so. And I think my days generally consist of just spending a long time with our cats and dogs, which we absolutely adore. And of course, walking all around the fields, looking at what's happening, learning a little bit each day about what's working, what's maybe not working, what can I change, and also wondering how what I'm learning, what I can do with technology, with my laptop sitting at home, how can that go into the farm? That's
Hmm.
part of that as well.
Interesting. And I understand that your father of technology was integral part of his life, right? And his quit corporate. Aladi, do you want to talk a little bit about that as well and how technology has helped you?
Especially during Corona, the Tamil Nadu government asked us to help the farmers. And that was a time when a lot of watermelon was grown. Remember, Sumana?
Of
You will never
course.
forget.
Yeah,
So we
yeah.
assembled a small team, and Sumana was the technology head then. Well, I'm talking about 2020 when Sumana was 17.
Yeah.
Yeah. So we brought in technology, put out Google Forms and other Python
Mm.
coding she did, and we sent it across to people across the city. And we were able to help close to around 200 farmers. We door delivered during Corona, with all the risk. But for technology, would not have been able to do it. So
Wow.
technology plays a very important role, and it actually proved. So 2 rupees per kilo was the rate going then, which used to be around 1820, and we paid the farmers around 12 rupees a kilo.
Wow. That's
We
incredible.
every day some 8-10 tons used to go, and this all went because of technology.
Yeah. Otherwise, it would have just gotten wasted. They would have suffered
Yeah,
losses. It's massive,
we
massive.
got a lot from Karnataka border, and not to feel proud, but to make a mark, I should tell you that that year I was selected as the best farmer of the year, and the central minister
Wow.
came and
Oh,
recorded.
yes. I think I remember this.
Congratulations to you both. So we'll take a step back actually, maybe our audience would also like to know a little bit about you both, a little bit background about you, Sumana, and you, Aladi. I know Aladi because have worked with him in the past, but maybe a little bit about you both can help our listeners to know who Sumana is or who Aladi is.
My name is Sumana. I am 20 years old. I've just finished my undergraduate degree in economics. I think what defines me is a wish and a will to try to solve these big problems that exist in the most efficient way using the things that we have at our disposal. So um, I don't want to dismiss any systems, whether they be borrowed from the Western countries, whether they be borrowed from the corporate world. I don't want to dismiss anything. I want to try to see what we can utilize to solve the problems facing Earth today, which obviously the biggest problem, climate change. I want to see if we can solve that. Along with that, how to solve things like rural gender inequality. That's also a subject that I'm kind of passionate about. How to solve the the pay gap everywhere, how to try and address the general inequality, wealth inequality in the country, things like that. So the big problems, very big problems, I want to try and solve them, and I'm trying to start off at a small scale, and I hope at some point in the future the scale will grow larger.
And I'm confident that, you're going to inspire many, right? And many of them are going to join hands with you, walk the same path as you because you're very clear-headed, you are focused, you know what you want to do, and not only that, what I see is there is passion in it, there is clarity in it, right? That is way more important, right? And I think it is required for all our future generations to be so clear-headed and so focused.
I started my first business when I was 15, a stationery. production outlet.
Hmm.
Since then, I've been doing different things. I've worked in transportation, construction, metal scraps, IT, and finally, what gave me contentment is in farming.
Wow.
I will
You found
say
your
that
ikigai.
through my wife. She made me realize where contentment is actually is. Sumana's mom. So
Wow.
that's a short overview about me, and I've been here in the farm since 2018-19, and it's a joyful ride.
That's incredible. I think you found your ikigai. You
Yeah.
know, got your inner calling and you're settled there at the organic farm. That's wonderful. Sometime back, I think, I think Sumana, you mentioned about, cats, dogs. So what does your extended family looks like, from dogs? Maybe you have visitors visiting.
Yeah, so there's cats and dogs that are they just seem to be attracted to us. I don't know what it is.
Mm-hmm.
So Kapi is the most recent entrant, though she's in Chennai, not in the farm. She's in Chennai. So right at this moment, she has decided to go and make her name in the world. So she's currently missing. But she was with us for a good 5 6 months, and she's such a sweetheart. I just found her on the road.
Mm-hmm.
So the story behind that is actually kind of tragic. Apparently, somebody came in a car and dropped her off and then just drove away.
Oh.
So, yeah, we don't know why, we don't know what happened. So, and she was really small. She was a baby. She couldn't have survived. The dogs were already kind of looking at her. And I'm sure she couldn't have survived the first night by herself.
Mm.
So then we got her home and she grew up a lot. And then we slowly started letting her out again because she really was craving the outside and she was really craving some more space and some more freedom because we live in a flat. So that's what started happening, and now she's currently missing. But I think what's more important than just her is just how unique each of these people, each of these creatures are, because no two are alike. Like
Yeah.
you look at them and there'll be two gray cats and you'll just think, okay, how different can they be? But actually it's like poles apart. Each one has their own quirks, personality, likes, dislikes, tempers. It's like managing 40 big temperamental adults in the same house. So I would say it's very difficult,
Mhm.
but it's very fulfilling because they give you so much love.
Yeah, yeah.
So I think that's the most important part about them, that a lot of people think they're also similar. They are not.
Hmm.
And I have
Anything,
sleepless nights even now because of several puppies born, kittens born here.
that's interesting.
Yeah, that is another. It's like one of those war strategy things. Like when you have those armies.
Though Sumana and Ramashri are worried that my nights are sleepless, I'm still fine.
I've heard from someone, right? You're doing a sadhana, right? When you are doing some kind of a sadhana, you don't require long hours sleep, right? Maybe 1 or 2 hours of sleep is enough for your body because you are always in that, like, you are doing that. This is your kind of a meditation, right?
Yeah.
Taking
I
care
hope
of
so.
these. Yeah,
I
yeah.
hope so.
Any other incident or any other, maybe you want to talk about your cows or buffalo? I
Yeah,
don't know whether you
cows,
have
we had a
buffaloes.
very bad time in 2022, I guess,
Yeah, I think
where
so.
there is a disease called as lumpy skin disease. It can come anytime. It
Mm-hmm.
comes because of the exports to Middle East from cow. It's a very Sumana will be able to explain because she put the calf on her lap and treated it.
Yeah, it was really bad. It was called bovid, actually, like a bovine epidemic. So a lot of cattle were catching it in our area, and unfortunately, two of our very young calves got it. So when that happened, uh, we decided that me and my mother both decided that this is too important, and we kind of left whatever is in Chennai and we moved to the farm for a few months there to take care of them, to make sure that they would pull through. And it was truly a very scary time because the calves deteriorated a lot before. Well, okay, one unfortunately passed away. He's in a better place now. The other one deteriorated a lot before she started to improve. But the again, in that also there are so many things to learn from her, because she was barely, what, 25 days old when she
Hmm.
got this generally fatal disease. And that, the way she fought it is truly admirable. So she just fought it. She refused to give up. She did not think that death was a possibility. She
Hmm.
just decided that this is not going to get the best of me. So she decided that, and she still bears the scars of it. Her nose actually is a little bit like structurally got a little damaged, so she actually doesn't have the outer nose structure now, but
Hmm.
she's thriving. She has a daughter. I think another one is on the way, and she loves bananas. She bullies everybody for bananas, so she's a force to reckon with. And she's just, a lot can be learned from her. So yeah, Varalakshmi, the cow that is bullying everybody right now, that is that calf.
She's so strong, and
Yeah,
her daughter is so much more stronger that every 15 minutes I have to go and tell her, please calm down.
Wow.
yeah, because they
She's
really
a
run.
fighter.
Yeah, she's such a fighter.
And
Yeah.
literally, she is also a fighter, hearing from what Alladi just mentioned, right? She's
Yes.
bullying too. Yeah. So, how do you name your, pets, Sumana? Is there any specific
Oh,
way or
there
some?
is a lot of things. Sumna can say it. From Tippy to Wrigley to P2 to
I think the best one is
Jam,
Megabyte.
Gulab.
Megabyte is one of our dogs.
Mhm.
Um, he bites very hard. So it has a lot to do with their traits when they're babies, and also just what fits in general. Maybe the day they're born, if there's some, for the cows, it's more like the day they're born. If there's some kind of religious affiliation of that day, then we could go that way also.
Right.
Otherwise, it's just whatever fits. So we had a pair of kittens. We call them fungus and non-fungus. So it's just vibes.
Yeah.
Great.
Okay.
Nice, nice.
She named two kids. One is Jam and one is Gulab. Born
Oh
together.
Uh,
We call them together as Gulab Jam.
yeah.
those are
So
our
to
puppies. Yeah.
take care of your cravings for gulab jam.
No, the way, I think
Uh,
that was inspired by how small and cute they were.
Sumana, how has working with your parents, right, shaped your understanding of sustainability and responsibility? I can already see that you're such a responsible youth. So I'm just curious, and I want the, young listeners watching to get that sense of responsibility and, awareness.
I think working with my parents has given me a unique experience with working with the older generation, which I don't think a lot of people get in such close proximity. Right? If they're working for the older generation, then they're working for them, not with them. They don't get to see the thought processes that go behind decisions. They don't get to see the nitty-gritty details, which I definitely got to see, which taught me a lot, but it also taught me how much I have to learn. So there is that also. I think it has helped my thoughts on sustainability, because that is mostly because they are both very passionate about it. So I kind of just caught it from them. That's
Hmm.
mostly it. Um, I think I'm just generally a conscious person with when it comes to things like food and the environment. I do care about it, and that was shaped by them. If not by working with them, then by just living with them and listening to them talk among each other and with their friends and their friend groups and things like that.
What I can understand, it is very crucial, for us to always stay in a positive environment, or the way we want to, create our life. We should surround ourselves with such people or, company. Sumana, we would love to hear it from you on the multi-cropping aspect.
Okay, so the multi-cropping model, the principle is to not overburden the soil with a certain type of crop. So the guiding fact is that each plant, each species of plant requires a different thing from the soil, and this is well known. Some plants require more nitrogen, for example, some require more potassium. The proportions are all different. Now, if you just look at it logically, if you keep taking away nitrogen from the soil, at one point that soil is going to be devoid of any nitrogen. Then no plant is going to be able to grow there. It's going to become barren, right?
Mm.
So, and this is bad in many, many ways. Of course, it affects the income of the farmer, but it also makes barren a piece of land that was previously very, very fertile and very, very cultivable. So it's also very precious loss of resources. So this is something we definitely want to avoid. And
Mm.
multi-cropping is a good way to do this because you not only rotate the crops themselves, you also make sure that the same field has short-term, mid-term, and long-term crops at the same time. So this helps in a multitude of ways. Firstly, we rotate crops. So even short-term crops, suppose like a 90-day variety, we keep rotating it. We don't have the same 90-day variety sown at 90-day intervals. It's always different.
Mhm.
And the reason for the staggered time periods as well, short-term crops have shorter roots. Mid-term crops have slightly longer and long-term crops have the longest roots. So, in order to tackle big problems like soil erosion, things like that, long term crops are very good.
Mhm.
Mid term crops, they are slightly shorter. They also help with that. They help with things like making sure the soil keeps its fertility and adding things like humus to the soil so that the it can mulch and it can remain fertile and very, very nutritious. And of course short term crops are very good for other things, right? They do things for the soil. There's nitrogen fixing plants like legumes. There's plants whose leaves, if they fall, the dried leaves, if they fall on the soil, they're going to be extremely nutritious for the next crop. So it's all a planned out system in which every crop is helping every other crop to grow. It is an interdependent system. So that is the premise of multi-cropping, that we want this field to not just be a giant expanse of groundnut only forever or only lady's finger forever. That's not correct. And we want to rotate it. And also, if you look at natural forests, right, it's never like that.
Yeah.
And the earth has evolved over millions of years. There's a reason for everything. So why would the earth just never ever have the same crop only? There must be a reason for it. So we shouldn't dismiss those learnings, we shouldn't dismiss those facts. And so we try to work our system to be the way that it is naturally. And naturally, if you look at any forest, they're going to have different heights of trees. They're going to have different the trees that grow, trees and plants that grow at different time periods at different paces, whose root lengths are different. And the same species is never going to just be in the same spot all the time. So that is what the basics of
Also,
multi-crop.
talk about the economic benefits.
Oh yeah, of course. Economic benefits. You have produce all year round. You don't have to worry that if one single crops gets ruined by one single pest, then you're going to lose your income. That's never a concern. Because okay, if your kirai didn't do well this time, you still have a bunch of coconut trees which you can take coconuts from, or mangoes that you can take mango trees that you can take mangoes from, right? So it is also a very lucrative model for a farmer who wants to reduce uncertainty and who wants to stabilize income flows.
What about cutting out middlemen?
Yes, yes. Nana, you tell about that. No, you know.
Yeah. See, when you have different crops, uh, you can start reaching it to homes, and you don't need a middleman. That's what we are doing for the last how many years? 15 years now.
Mhm.
Yeah.
So
Right.
these retailers, wholesalers, the reason they come in is because I am a groundnut farmer. I only grow groundnut, right? But
Mm.
how much groundnut is a household going to consume? It's not going to take 10 kgs of groundnuts. That's only a wholesaler's job. But if I tell you that I have 10 kgs of mangoes and 10 kgs of bananas and 10 kgs of this and that and rice and legumes and millets and seeds and oil and everything. I have everything. Then the customer is so much more inclined to buy the whole basket of goods from me directly without any requirement for me to go to a wholesaler and then them to go to a retailer. The retailer offers the basket. But in this, we cut down all these middlemen who are, of course, huge drains of money and effort, and they are notoriously very bad for farmers. So they give farmers very low prices and they sell it at a hugely marked up rate. So that is why middlemen are basically not a lovely thing for the farmers themselves, which is why it is always better to cut them out.
I read in one of your posts some time back that you were talking about letting water return to nature, right? That's a powerful idea. And many of us would like to, and that's also need of the hour, right? Considering what happened in Bangalore recently. What is it that you want to say, when you are saying that let water return to nature?
Uh, we always think about taking water from the ground. We never think about giving back water to the ground.
Hmm.
That's very important.
Yeah, so I think one of the biggest things that we believe is that water already has a way that it wants to go, right? Every river has a path that it kind of knows. So what we try to do is we try to look at the rain in our farm and we look at where it wants to go rather than spending so much money building pipes and canals and this and that with cement and plastic. Instead of that, we try to make it the most natural that it can be, and we take the water where it wants to go. We see where the lowest point is, we analyze the contours of our farm, and we build things called bioswales, which are very simple. Actually, yeah, we don't even have to build it. It's already there in the ground, and we just enhance it if it's needed to take it to the lowest point in our farm, and we choose the lowest point as kind of our repository of water. We have a pond which all the water flows to. We have two, three wells which all the water flows to. And generally, in all these years, we haven't had to do much, touch wood, by God's grace, to get it to get into those repositories simply because that is exactly where the water wants to go. So we are trying to work with the water, with nature, rather than against it. So I think that is what it means to let it return to nature. Not only that we let it return, but we let it return in the way it wants to, which also benefits us greatly.
Sumana, also talk about
Oh.
aquifers and baths.
Yeah, yeah.
What are
So
aquifers?
aquifers, we deplete them. They are underwater, underground water storage, right? So we know that aquifers in Chennai, in and around Chennai, have been getting depleted for a very long time now, and getting depleted and polluted both for a long time now. And especially under the farm, a lot of farmers around our area have also started facing slight issues during the summer, which didn't exist before, but they're existing now because of the constant depletion, because we are draining our resources, and because we are allowing the water to return without using it up with extremely intense irrigation. We are able to save a lot of water, not only for us, because of course if water goes down into our pond, there's no boundary stopping it from going to the next farm. So a lot of people are able to benefit from the idea that we should let water go back. Other farmers, what they often do is they use up water as and when it comes to irrigate their land, because their crops, generally monocropping, needs a lot more water. Since
Mhm.
we follow the practice of multicropping, we can ensure things like water collecting, pooling in the taller trees, and being saved a little bit to come down to the lower trees. Things like the taller trees giving shade to the shorter trees, so that they actually don't even need that much water in the first place. So it's all a system that works together, and it's the system which is closest to how it would be in a forest. And of course nobody's watering a forest, so we are trying to get back to that. Another classic case of mono versus multi-cropping. In multi-cropping, in fact, a whole huge field of paddy can't even really be done. So in fact, if you look at the natural way of things, you're not eating that much of a staple. The concept of a staple was brought in later, and monocropping has followed that. But eating things like lentils, fruits, and vegetables in larger quantities, proportions, definitely helps even with the farming side of things.
And also, friendly to your stomach
Yeah,
and
definitely.
health, right? It brings in health benefits too.
Yeah.
Great. You are a great kid, Sumana. I must say that. You have a lot of holistic knowledge and you are tomorrow's generation. And I pray and I request each of our listeners to learn from you. Everything was so positive about you and try and implement these changes in their personal lives. With this, we are coming to the end of this episode. And I request you to, give a small message to all the young listeners out there or any families like, who are thinking to walk the path like you two are doing or you three are doing rather, more towards sustainable and conscious life. One quick message for.
I think a message that I would want to pass on to a family that's looking to do this, maybe specifically to the younger members of the family, is that you won't like the sound of it, but all in all, it's going to be an experience that you're going to treasure. So you're not going to love the sound of putting your feet in slush and doing things and living in a place that might not always have the power on, right? You're going to have power cuts. You're going to have a bunch of animals, insects you've never heard of. They're going to come, you're going to see them. But at the end of it, the rewards that you reap, the health that you reap, the experiences that you collect, the memories that you collect, they're unmatched. So I think what I would say to even a younger me is definitely give it a chance. Give this lifestyle of sustainability and farm life a chance, and you might just find that it is for you.
Great. Aladi, you have anything to add to what Sumana just mentioned?
No, she's said it all. That's it. What can I?
Lovely. So that was today's episode, guys. At the organic farm, Sumana and Aladi are not just growing food, they are growing futures together. Their story reminds us that when generations work together, sustainability becomes more than a goal. It becomes a way of life. If today's conversation inspired you, share it with someone who needs to hear it. Finally, please do subscribe to our channel if you haven't done yet. And until next time, be happy, make everyone around you happy, stay as close to nature as possible, and love everyone. And always remember, beyond the veil, the trail begins. We'll see you all next week in yet another inspiring episode. Until then, take care.